Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our panel discussion on training the trainers, faculty professional development for newer programs in emerging technologies. This is a panel discussion with Dr. Nelly Desali-Gassant. I hope I got that right. Dr. Felicia Stukes and Dr. Anna Guzman. I am the moderator, Dr. Ida Ingambeki. So we're in an interesting position right now in the computing workforce. We're one of the few fields with projected massive growth. So not just growth, but actually massive growth coming in employment, where a lot of other fields are actually losing spots because of various changes in their industry. Occupations in computer sciences and computer-related fields are actually projected to increase by 12.5% from 2014 to 2024. And that's just the average across computer science fields. A field like cybersecurity is projected to increase by upwards of 60%. So, you know, there are real opportunities, niches for growth all across the computer science field. If you compare that to engineers, or in fact, any other STEM field, right? You don't see that kind of potential for growth. At the same time, while women have made, at this point, make up about 47% of the American workforce, that is not allowing for COVID. We know over the last year, a lot of women, unfortunately, have dropped out of the workforce. So hopefully that number won't decline too much. But if we look at just computers, STEM jobs, right? Only 24% of STEM jobs are held by women. That is slightly less than a quarter of all STEM jobs, which is really appallingly small, right? So the bad news is we are not well represented in computer science fields or STEM fields generally, but the good news is that it leaves us a lot of opportunity for growth, right? When we look at computing, there are lots of areas that have the potential for growth, but specifically areas like cybersecurity, data science, machine learning, natural language processing, artificial intelligence, mobile computing, and cloud computing are all areas where we're seeing lots of emerging technologies coming to the fore, lots of places for us to influence. And there's a lot of untapped talent among our underrepresented students, and we need to be taking advantage of that. So if we look at the future of the workforce in technology, especially computer science, we're looking at several drivers that are pushing this growth in employment. These include automation, right? So we need skills in big data analytics, in cloud computing, in security, in order to cope with the changes we're going to see due to automation. We need reskilling, right? So computing is going to become a more important part of other fields that are not necessarily computing fields. And we need to be able to get those people up to speed, do some cross-functional training to increase productivity. And reskilling is also going to allow people to enter into the computer science fields. So we're going to see, hopefully, or at least there's potential for more and more non-traditional entrance into the field, so people not necessarily coming in through that four-year degree path or the master's to PhD, people coming in from other sectors. And we need to develop some upskilling, right? We need to continue to enhance our expertise, especially if we want to be competitive in these emerging technology markets. So what we need to consider is, how do we train faculty to make sure that they are able to train the next generation to cope with what we imagine will be a very different working environment than we're seeing right now. It's going to be, they're going to require different skills. It's going to be evolving much more quickly than it is right now. So they're going to need to be lifelong learners, right? So how do we make sure that our faculty are ready to take on these tasks? To discuss some of these questions today, we have a distinguished panel. Dr. Nelly Desali-Gassant, Associate Professor at Miami-Dade College. Dr. Desali.
Hey, how are you doing, guys? So I'm very excited to be here today. I'm a professor at Miami-Dade College, and my specialty is in cybersecurity. I've led the development of a Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity at Miami College. And I guess I'm on this panel because I suffered through a lot of, it was very hard to find the right people that would help us develop this Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity. And I have other activities. I help in the club advisement. We do have a cybersecurity club at Miami College. We try to compete in national competition, capture the flag competitions. And also we want to make sure that we do include a lot of certifications into our program. So I also have a few of those, all right?
Okay, thank you, Dr. DeLacy. We have Dr. Anna Guzman, who's an associate professor at Miami-Dade College.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm an associate professor at Miami-Dade College, and my specialty is actually electrical and computer engineering. And this last year, we have been working in developing a new program on geographic information systems. And it has been challenging, needless to say, but it's a field that is very interesting. It is open to many opportunities and it's growing quite rapidly in South Florida. And the opportunities to find a job in this area are tremendous for our students. So we are working hard on getting this program started, as a college certificate program at the moment, so that we can build on, and then probably our goal is to eventually offer a bachelor's degree on this.
Thank you, Dr. Guzman. And we have Dr. Felicia Stukes, who is an assistant professor at Johnson Smith University.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Felicia Stukes, and I am at Johnson C. Smith, which is located in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm in the Computer Science and Engineering Department, professor of computer science. And one of the emerging technologies that I have been working with on our campus is data science. So I have been a part of a team developing a minor in data science for our undergraduate students. And in part of that, we've also been developing research curriculum around that for our students. Also, in addition to that, professional development for faculty, because the undergraduate data science minor is for the whole campus and not just our STEM students, but for STEM and non-STEM students. And so we embarked upon different faculty development pursuits, but we also worked over the summer with K-12 educators. So I did some professional development as it relates to, undergraduate faculty, and then of course, K-12 educators around data science. So very glad to be here and talk about some of the things that I've done over the years in regards to emerging technology.
Thank you, Dr. Stukes. Okay, so we have some prepared questions for our panel, but if you have questions that arise as we go along, please use the chat feature. You can use the Zoom chat and the Hoover questions feature. I'm not that competent on Hoover, but I think they just pop up. Hopefully they'll just pop up. And then at the end of the session, you'll be able to ask, to unmute yourself and ask questions. But please feel free to type in your questions as we go, and I will ask the panel. So our first question: how important is the role of faculty in preparing future workforce for emerging technology fields?
Well, I'm going to get started here. Well, I think that we have a very important role, right, as faculty in preparing our students in all of these new emerging technologies. I think that in the past used to be that education, right, kind of led the what industry will do, right? But now I feel it's more the other way around. That industry kind of is leading the way on research, and advancement is going so much faster than what we are doing in college or in university. So we definitely have an important role. We gotta keep on learning, seeing what the industry requires, what skills they want our students to have. So definitely we have, I would say, one of the most important roles as professors, as teachers.
I wanted to. Oh.
And actually, I want to add to that. It's important to be aware when you're a professor that the industry evolves at a different pace as university professors. What we see as emerging technology for a lot of industries, everyday is business. And sometimes the people, well, because of when we put this program on cybersecurity together, we had the opportunity to meet with a lot of people from the community. You know, they work in banks, hospitals, and etc. And what they think is basic skills is already so much more than what we try to put in place in at the college, at least. So it's really two different paces. And the problem is that it's very easy when you're in the academia to be complacent. It's easy to be complacent. We already have a set of courses that exist there. And if we don't have this motivation, you know, again, motivated for your students, right? You want them to have jobs, right? It's easy to, keep teaching the same classes, not going further, and etc. So it has to come from us to make sure that our students will be employed in the current industry now.
Yeah, I was going to say something very similar in terms of logistically speaking. Faculty are responsible for actually putting forward the proposal. So it literally is us, that it's our role to propose new curriculum. And just as we were speaking of earlier, we're also the ones that are developing, putting the time in to develop the courses. And it's a need, as we talked about earlier in the presentation, it's such a high need that we really have to take the responsibility and the leadership and the effort to make this available, as we were speaking earlier, to our students, because if it doesn't come from us, especially us, the faculty who have the backgrounds in the emerging fields, then it may not come at all. So I think we really need to look at it and take the lead and build teams, interdisciplinary teams, but definitely don't sit back, be very proactive, because it literally is our role.
Thank you. What are the challenges for faculty to stay current and prepare students for emerging technology fields? Guzman, you want to go first again?
Right, I started a trend here. Oh, well, I think it's tied to what we have been saying, that we are at different phases with the industry. So it seems, that the industry, well, it doesn't seem, it is, the industry is moving at a faster pace. So keeping up with, with the current technologies and teaching that the tools that they require or students need to learn how to use, it's definitely a challenge, keeping up with the industry, everything that is new, and bring it into the classroom. And sometimes, we have in the workplace, we have obstacles to overcome, which is administration. We may want to give, let the users use a particular tool, but we have to go through administration steps, and it just sometimes that delays at least us giving the newer tools for our students. I think that's a big challenge, at least personally, what I found.
So, well, we continue this round robin thing, right?
Yes, please.
So I think that's, challenges. Well, because we are among women here, I think we do have the same challenges our students have. I have 2 kids at home now who are taking classes on their computers. Sometimes, they have their own needs. I have to, be at 3 places at the same time. So we do have the same type of challenges that our students are, what I found is a positive impact of the COVID situation is that a lot of trainings have become more accessible to me. Why? Because instead of having to go someplace, I can do everything online now. And in terms of flexibility, I mean, it's been great for me. And I'm not sure how the situation is going to evolve, but hopefully some positive will be taken from this. So again, so the challenges were basically, I cannot afford to take 3 days off during a semester. How could I afford that before? That was impossible. Now, well, that's a change, right? Now I can do everything online. Sometimes I can do things at my own pace. And Dr. Billionaire has been a tremendous job, bringing some training to us at MDC. So I want to acknowledge that. And I mean, again, time would be the major factor for me.
Okay, so it's hard to follow Dr. DeLacy because we think so much alike. I can already tell. And so, I mean, I don't have anything to add to that. I was going to say almost the exact same thing.
Okay, thank you. So this time we'll let Dr. Stooks go first. What pedagogies can better train faculty to offer courses and prepare the next generation of emerging technology professionals?
Sure. So a couple of things I think about. One is culturally responsive teaching. That's something that I've been doing with the data science curriculum. I teach at a small private historically Black college and university, and our students are majority African American and Hispanic. And one of the things that and again, remember I mentioned that I wanted to make sure that the curriculum reaches beyond, our computer science majors. So with the culturally responsive pedagogy, one of the objectives is to connect the curriculum with the students' lived experiences. And similarly, again, trying to expand to faculty outside of, the STEM disciplines. Similarly, finding ways to connect the curriculum to the lived experiences and make it relevant to the learners so that the adoption of the material will be a lot faster.
Dr. DeLacy, go the opposite way.
Sure. So, well, I'm not sure how to answer that question well, because the problem is not even to find the right pedagogies, but it's before that even to find the trainers. And my experience, and I've been on many committees for hiring faculty in cybersecurity. And the truth of the matter is, well, the thing is that we are in competition with the industry. So every time you do have people who have the skills, the right cybersecurity skills, so you're not interested into teaching for, whatever small amount of money we're offering at the university level. So it's difficult for us to even recruit people with the right skills. So when we find people, so it's harder to find people who can be role models for women or that are gender sensitive or that even have prior teaching experience. So in terms of pedagogies, I hope that, by, taking, attending, conferences like this one, we can find more pedagogies. But at this point, I'm not sure yet how to address that because of the fact that even finding the faculty is pretty hard.
Dr. Guzman?
Yes, I do agree with Dr. DeLacy. Finding the right faculty to start with, it is a challenge. Yes, when you may find the faculty, they may not last long enough, they may be for a better paying job. As I experience, where can I tell you, as I mentioned, my background is in electrical and computer engineering, and developing this program and this new program at Miami-Dade College, it has been challenging because well, I had to be trained. The topic is a topic that, yes, that it involves a lot of data analytics, but I had to learn a lot of, go back to learning geography, right? Or just refresh myself on geography, and finding people that will teach those, or will basically train me, on the software, on where to go and find the data so that I could process it and create a curriculum. So that's challenging. And obviously I want the best for my students, so I'm always trying to go to all the different trainings that are offered by Miami-Dade College, so that I can bring it to my students. So at this point, I'm like Dr. DeLacy, that it's difficult for ES to answer this question, in particular as to a specific pedagogies that need to be, I guess, implemented. When I think the challenge right now, it is to find, as Dr. DeLacy mentioned, the professors who will be teaching, and then motivate them to to really keep on learning, and find the trainers that will train us.
As an actual fact, maybe, well, we are in the conference about re-entering women, right? So maybe the solution is that, instead of going after those people who are not interested into teaching, is to go after, women who have the knowledge or are interested into having a flexible schedule, because again, as professors, we are all lucky enough to have, a flexible schedule. We have, again, we have incentives that we can propose to some of the women who can become the next trainers. So I think it fits well with the conference theme, because those women are here, they need the flexibility, they need to learn at their own paces, but that's also what we need for trainers. So maybe there's an opportunity here to have those women become trainers themselves.
Okay, so to sort of follow up on that, you mentioned culturally responsive pedagogy, and we are at a point in history where, because of certain external factors, we are taking a moment to reflect on diversity and inclusion and equity. How would you recommend, for those here who are thinking or preparing for roles as faculty or faculty themselves, how do you integrate that into your training?
Well, I can speak about when we talk about the next generation, which is, I guess you could say, this generation, Generation Z. If you guys have, I would recommend looking up, the characteristics of Generation Z. And one of the things that, comes out is that, Generation Z is going to be majority minority. Basically our, students, traditional students, meaning like those between, I guess, 18 and 23 or 24, they're going to be, very diverse anyway, right? So it's kind of like you can't ignore that. You should obviously plan for your students, the population that's on their way. So that's one of the things that you to think about, what it's like, what would be more responsive to the, literally the generation that we're in now. And in terms of emerging technologies, some of the things they've grown up with from birth, right? So we have to make these changes, because it's not just like, like a racial culture, responsiveness, but just the culture of, being in, an information era where these students will have had, these devices in their pockets their entire lives, right? So you just have to be responsive to that. Like, it's just a completely different time. So I think you can think about it in those ways. Like, we have to grow. I know it's difficult, especially if you've been, faculty for, decades. It might be difficult, but I just think you have to think about, the next generation, again, literally.
Okay, Dr. DeLacy, Dr. Guzman, do you want to add to that?
You know, it's a difficult question to answer. Personally, what I have noticed that I have worked with my students, it's, yes, in the classroom I see mostly male students, maybe 2-3 female students in my classes. And when I started teaching, I don't think I motivated the ladies as much as now. I have learned that it helps for me to ask them, why are you doing this? You know, to ask them, whether they are men or women, why they want to be engineers. And, you know, to tell them that they have basically, they have the same obstacles academically, all right? And yes, as women, we have more challenges because, you know, as Dr. DeLacy mentioned earlier, well, we eventually get married, have kids, and we have more things to do. And so that is what makes females to drop out of the workforce. So it's with the new generation. So that's speaking to women now with the generation, like it was mentioned, they grow up with all the technologies at hand. And for me, that has been a challenge with my students even, because I think they have learned to use technology to solve problems automatically. But then as they become engineers or, you know, scientists, they want that technology to solve it instead of understanding how it works. So I think as professors, we need to sort of like reverse that ideology that, you know, you are using this tool, you know, but let's understand what, you know, how it works, how it came to be. So in that sense, that I think that's one of the most important things that I have realized about, you know, these generations coming in. So I think, and that's how I approach it in the classroom at the moment.
All right, Dr. DeLacy?
So I'm not sure what I can add to that. Well, my strategy is just try to be open, really, because I see some people have a wrong attitude, you know, thinking that if there's a problem in terms of diversity in the classroom, they have to take that in a wrong way. But again, we have to be mindful. Even myself, I find myself sometimes not being as supportive as I should be with a female in my classroom. Sometimes I get in the classroom, hey guys, how you doing? Well, no, there are girls too, right? Don't say hey guys. So, and we have to be aware that it's not, oftentimes it's not you know, the will of somebody to be not inclusive, but you have, as women and as minorities, we have to make them aware of their shortcomings. And if we, you know, if we take that positively, we stay open, you know, to our own shortcomings, and I think it's going to make it better in the classroom. So at Minded College, or maybe we should have introduced Minded College first. We have a majority of Hispanics, many African-American students, and well, and unfortunately, we still have a lot of males in our classroom, and you know, compared to the number of female, even you know, we are aware of this diversity. Even us, we are not open to women in our classroom. So it shows that it's not sometimes, it's just a matter of being aware of it in order to transform ourselves. So, I mean, it's great that we have workshops and we have conferences so that, you know, more and more people can be aware of what they're doing so that they can correct and, you know, have the right strategies and pedagogies.
Okay. Sorry, another follow-up question sort of occurred to me as you were discussing that. So emerging technologies are often seen, so these are new and, a lot of these sort of cutting edge science fields are seen as the purview of males who are pioneers, right? So as women in these fields, how do you navigate that? And how would you recommend that other individuals thinking about entering these fields, or especially as trainers, navigate that?
I can start with the round robin. Well, for me, I developed a research program for data science for an applied area, which I call, it's basically sports analytics. And within that, as a female, we wanted to collect data from athletic games, but I communicated that, I'm also a mother, happily married, have children, and that I would not be able to physically attend the games. So the way that I was able to incorporate that, the concept of that in my research, was that I did use more automation. So instead of, having a system in our research where each person would need to physically be there to, for example, gather data, we decided to get equipment, grant funded equipment, to automatically capture the data, right? So my entire research program has been built around the fact that I need the work-life balance. So just about everything that we do with the sports analytics, the equipment that I choose automatically captures the data. It sends the data to a server, and all I have to do from wherever I am is download that data from wherever I am, right? And I speak about that because that was very much the way that I designed it had everything to do with me being a mother, everything, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, wow, that's a great idea. It's like, I had no other choice. Like, I mean, it is a good idea, but at the same time, like, this was the way that it had to happen for me. And it turned out to be pretty innovative. So I encourage students to continue to give of themselves, like whatever you feel like might be restrictive. It may not be. It's another concept where we talk about universal design. If you start thinking of ways to solve problems for everyone, then it turns out to be a better design overall. So I always encourage women to just be true to yourself and the life that you want to live. If it does include a work-life balance, be true to that, and you can succeed with how you choose to move forward. It doesn't have to be the same as your counterpart who may be male.
Thank you. Dr. DeLacy?
From my point of view, like Dr. Felicia Stokes said, we have to take advantage of technology, and that's a great thing because you won't have anybody tell you that you cannot enter here, you cannot go there. It's all you can access everything virtually nowadays, right? So if you think in terms of cybersecurity, there are a lot of websites that are available now that allow you to practice on your own. Okay, and then of course it's open to everybody. So we have to take advantage of this too. It's not like in the past, you enter the classroom, it shows that you're a woman. Here you enter the virtual environment. Nobody knows if you're a woman or not, right? You just continue as you be yourself, and that's it.
Dr. Guzman?
Correct. Yeah, the use of now, with all of this past year where everything is pretty much online, I have found, and this is from experience in the classroom from the female students that I have taught. Some of them are really good. I mean, their personality transfers even to the online, or sometimes it even transforms them. They were shy students that perhaps in the in-person classes, they will not ask questions, but then online, they will suddenly will be, they will send text, in the chat, they will ask more questions, they will be more open to use a microphone. But then they were also the opposite, that they were shy in the classroom, but also they were shy online. so they were not speaking as much, you know. So I was able to see these differences, these changes among students, and that helped me also create my classes be more dynamic online, and to also give them advice as to, you know, in the sense advising the I lost my train of thought here. Or advise them more than anything else that that no matter whether we were in the classroom or online, you know, that it was, you know, the purpose of them being taking the class was, one, to learn, the other was also to participate, you know, and no matter how I did, even, you know, I put myself, you know, upside down, even in person or online, you know.
And I guess that to continue to what you're saying, everybody felt isolated anyway.
Correct.
So, you know, I mean, you might be the only 2 female students in the classroom, but now everybody is isolated anyway. Yes. So it kind of resetted the field, right? Everybody was isolated, so they all had to start and, you know, put themselves out there to start communicating and being more proactive. So yeah, that's true.
All right, thank you. I do not see any questions showing up in the chat or on Huva, so I hope I'm not missing them. Could you please ask questions as we go? All right. How can faculty professional development be designed so it can be delivered at scale?
I like that question. I like it because, first of all, the person who framed the question noticed that it had to be you know, delivered at scale. So for me, basically, it means learning at your own pace, right? So if you make sure that, well, so again, we'll say that it's the same for trainers and students, and especially female students and female trainers, right? We need the flexibility to learn at our own pace. We cannot afford to be at, you know, specific times every day in front of the computer. I mean, we can try, but there's no guarantee that we will be there, you know, every single day at the same time. So learning at our own pace is great, but I think that in addition to that, having some type of support system, maybe some type of community is great too, because you might, you know, again, I remember, so it's a personal story. When I was doing my PhD, I was pregnant with my kids, and the way we used to do distance learning is by getting CDs from the library. So yeah, it's a long time ago. So and I remember that's how I started meeting all the women who were in the same situation. They couldn't go to the classes themselves. So what they would do, they would go to the library, pick up the CDs every now and then. And that's how we started meeting each other, discussing and working together. So having such communities is great. So not only working at your own pace is good, but also having some kind of self-forming communities is also a good idea when it comes to, you know, to learning a new technology.
Dr. Guzman?
Yes, thank you. So I think that this year has taught us a lot when it comes to professional development. That, yeah, online, like Dr. Delesi mentions, it has been a savior for me in being able to take training or learn more about new technologies at my own pace. All right. So I think that's something that I hope it continues, that training continues to be available, that more training continues to be developed, and that it's available for us to, you know, basically go and watch it at our own time. I know at Miami-Dade College, they offer us a membership at Coursera, which I took advantage of. And so that was great, because before I had to pay for it, right? So that also, it kind of hinders sometimes our motivation to keep on what's it called, on learning. And I think with students also it has, I see more benefits of them being able to be in class online, me recording the sessions, and then they watch the videos even later, because, you know, during, you know, in presence class before, you know, they will go to the classroom, either they were tired, whatever, you know, they get distracted. There was no other way for them to recall the material. So now they are in the classroom at the same time, you know, online, but then they have the video in case, you know, they missed something. So I see that, especially in my programming classes, that they're getting better grades. They're understanding much better how to program. So I say online training. It's great.
Well, I can add to this topic. I believe that industry collaborations is helpful, very useful. It's been useful for our campus. We partner with the IBM Academic Initiative for our data science initiative on our campus. And that has helped because of, you know, with the IBM Academic Initiative, they offer, you know, professional development similarly, where the students and faculty can take courses and receive micro credentials such as badges. And also if a faculty member, you know, may need to use some of that to develop a new course, some of the same material, that, you know, they're able to do that. Additionally, the infrastructure that is typically associated with a technology infrastructure that's associated with a lot of the classes that we're teaching. If you know, partner with industry that can help you with some of that expense as well. So I do feel like industry partnerships is a good way to help with the scale aspect, because again, on our campus for our data science, it's a campus-wide initiative, which, you know, it's a lot harder to do than if you're, you know, only serving like a smaller number of students. So I definitely highly believe in the industry connections and partnerships.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I want to add to that it's really, really important, like you said, to provide incentives. Mm-hmm. So the word incentive means different things to different people, right? So for, you know, I know that some adjunct professors here now at MDC would be very happy to have those badges, right? So we do offer badges to some of our adjunct faculty, and they're more than happy to come and, you know, have their badges, because it's more work for them, or, you know, more contracts on the side, right? So yes, incentive is very important. If we could have grants, and hopefully we'll have one soon coming. So, you know, trying to provide them with stipends, again, stipends, badges, offer them the possibilities of having certifications. Those type of incentives are very important also. Because, you know, again, it's a lot of time spent to retrain, and to a lot of time taken. So it's not just passion. I mean, we can be passionate, but we cannot extend time. That's one thing we can do. So we do need, I mean, to offer those incentives to other professors also.
And we do have a couple comments agreeing with you. Online classes are the best. Vivi says, I learn better online because I can go back and rewind if I miss something, I can pause and so on. However, additional support in case we get stuck would be great. So some sort of support groups, office hours or tutoring or so on to support that online learning.
May I add something to that comment, which I forgot to mention, that it's something that has helped me a lot with my students now that everything is online, is to have virtual hours, virtual office hours. I noticed that more students have contacted me now during virtual office hours than when we were in-person office hours, you know. So I think that this is something that I'm going to keep on doing even after we go back to the classroom, to have that availability for students. You know, they cannot come to the on campus for whatever reason, so they can schedule, you know, virtual office hours. So that's definitely something that I'm going to keep on doing.
All right. And apart from professional development opportunities, what other resources and opportunities exist for faculty? Dr. Stooks?
Yeah, one thing I can mention is in terms of the resources, we spoke a lot about those already. So just take advantage of the ones that are available, especially now from a virtual perspective. And one thing I wanted to highlight also, just over the summer, I think there are a lot of experiences for faculty members to join with maybe research labs or government or federal research labs, or even industry research initiatives. And there are also different study abroad opportunities for faculty to kind of get a more global perspective to bring back to their classrooms versus just kind of like a traditional lecture type of professional development. So there are a lot of ways for faculty to, because we talked about earlier, it's easier to be, kind of forget what's happening in the world around you because you're kind of in a routine on your campus. And so there are opportunities for faculty, instead of having the traditional model of like, in your home, taking a training, professional development, there are these ways that you can become more immersed with what's happening, outside, so that you can come back and bring that to your students that you've seen with your own eyes and or experience, and add, make the needed changes for your students.
Sorry, muted myself because the dogs are barking. Dr. Guzman, please.
Well, now, it's hard to follow Dr. Stooks with that comment. As she said that, yes, I mean, some other opportunities, research outside, the university or the college. Those are great ways of, keeping up with what the industry is doing or what other universities are doing, and bring back all of that knowledge into the classroom. So I'm full agreement with that.
And Dr. DeLacy?
Yeah, I mean, same thing there, right? Again, those industry partnerships are important. We also have meetings with the community of businesses from Miami, and they give us some input on our programs too. So that helps to stay current with what is needed, especially locally. So, that helps also.
All right, so we're actually at the end of our time, but just take a couple minutes. Are there any questions from our audience? Or any comments, anything you'd like to supplement or agree to or add your own experience?
Keep on understanding the flying forces, and we will do our best.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
Zabak.
I'd like to comment on that too. Again, going back to what I was saying, as a mother and like the times that I was pregnant, for me, the online class saved me as a faculty member, right? And so in my head, I thought there's no way, there are people who have the same experience as a student. We need to make sure that we have flexibility, because I didn't think it was fair. I was like, you know what, that's an interesting thing to be the one that has to like plan your pregnancy around your class schedule, which is almost impossible. So why couldn't the class just be planned around the fact that some people might need, the flexibility, i.e. the ones who do have to have the children, right? That would be very considerate. And so I personally intentionally started to do those things like the virtual office hours after, I had the experience myself as being pregnant, and also having, at least one online section, because I thought about what I call either people might have permanent disabilities or temporary, physical disabilities, where like a pregnancy where you're not supposed to walk, or you just had the child and the doctor says you really should not, be out, you shouldn't drive, things like that. But you don't want to stop your education, right? So it's not fair. So I thought about that beforehand. So I just wanted to mention, just thinking of that again, a universal design approach, apparently I think it serves everyone.
Yeah.
So Jessica comments that she highly agrees. Contacting a professor using a virtual resource is much easier, better with a majority male class. And Vivi says, please keep expanding online courses. She really hates Miami traffic. A lot of students are going back to school to learn hard skills. I have a BS in business, but I am now learning tech. So online classes are extremely helpful for folks like me that will be going back to school for these hard skills. So I think the idea of these virtual classes has resonated with a whole number of people. Okay. So we are officially over time. But I want to thank our panel, Dr. Guzman, Dr. Stukes, Dr. DeLacy. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your experiences and your knowledge with us. I know I speak for our audience when I say we really appreciate it. Okay? If you could just hold on for 2-3 minutes as we sign off. I know sometimes there are the occasional students who feel a little more comfortable asking a question, when the group is smaller. All right. So with that, we are done. Thank you so much, everybody. Please enjoy the rest of your sessions today.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having us.
So you've raised some really good points, right? I mean, I keep going back and forth with my students. Is the online experience better, or are you losing something with that online experience? And
I think by now students have gotten used to the online experience. I think the first semester or the first time around, it was difficult because even us as professors, we were trying to make sure that we had everything available so that it could be delivered online. And we had to learn a lot of things along the way. But I think that now they are more comfortable with it. They are more comfortable. I see them immediately on the first day of class. They are creating, WhatsApp groups so they can, ask questions among themselves. And like I say, the virtual office hours have been great. They keep me busy.
And actually, I've been using, I talk about this maybe a little too late, but one of the tools I've been using that I was not able to use before online courses is students sharing their screen. That one thing you cannot really do in the classroom.
Yes, those shared screens are wonderful.
And I mean, that helps so much, seeing other students struggle when they solve problems. It's great. It's a very, very good tool. And even in the lab, we would not be able to do that before. Now, that's great technology.
Yeah, I was going to say similarly, of course, with Dr. DeLacy and also Anna as well. Like we all seem to agree, I guess, because we obviously are faculty and have shared experiences. But I was just going to mention the tools, like which I guess that was on the last question. But the tools that they're much better, so much better now. That there's so many things that we should definitely have incorporated, especially in a tech course. The cloud-based IDEs, we didn't really have that before, but I have really embraced those, now because they're gotten so much better and so much easier access, just so many things.
Oh, yeah, we've definitely taken a leap forward in those virtual technologies because of the situation. Yeah. All right. So it was nice to meet the three of you.
Yes,
it was nice.
Nice meeting you too.
Yes.
I hope we get to meet in person at some point, some conference or other.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Bye. You're welcome.
All right, thank you, everybody.